The Eagles' next two games, they're going to get either Jake Fromm or my pal Mike Lennon, and then probably Taylor Heineke. We assume he'll be able to come back, and then maybe
Dallas,
maybe Dak Prescott.
Oh,
Cowboys
they're not going to win the division. They would only, the conference. They're only going to sit Dak and those guys if they have the number 2 or number 3 seed and they're stuck there or something.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. Though.
Okay.
Because the Bucs because if Dallas is even within one game of Tampa Bay, they would be locked into the 2 seed because Tampa Bay obviously beat them in week 1 and they would have the tiebreaker.
And that is an interesting thing because obviously if the Cowboys bench everyone,
it could be Green Bay, obviously.
You feel really good about winning if you're the Eagles, but what situation would it have to be? Because we talked about the other night how there's such a drop-off. There's like a cliff drop-off after the 6 seed. So if you're a division winner, you want the 2 seed, so you're playing the team. So if you're the Cowboys, you might be benching all your starters, and then you have to turn around and play the Eagles the next week because theoretically here, the Eagles would be getting the 7 seed, right? Yeah. So there could be a situation where the Cowboys are the 2 seed and playing the Eagles 2 weeks in a row.
Well, you cross that bridge when you get to it, I think, if you're the Eagles. Let me ask you this, because this is something that I talked about on HQ just a moment ago. Who do you feel better about? I think I know what you're going to say, Breech, but I'll ask anyway for Brinson and Debo's input. So the 7th seed as we sit here, the Minnesota Vikings, 7-7, as are the Eagles and the Saints. Which team do you feel better about in terms of quarterback, team makeup, chances to make some noise as a 7th seed?
Debo? Who?
Oh, come on.
My answer. I mean, the way that the Eagles have been playing with the aberration of that Giants game, which was about as bad as you can get, and if they had that win, they'd be sitting real pretty for that 7 seed, even the 6 seed. The way they're running the ball, and if they're committed to the run, and Jalen Hurts just can limit the turnovers. He had the 2 tonight, 1 completely not his fault. If he can limit the fumbles, I would not want to play a team that's clicking that much on the ground in the playoffs.
I think it applies to the 3 teams who are, and I get that they're not like world beaters or anything, but the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Colts. And we talked about the other 2 a lot, but the issue is you get into a playoff game and maybe and you have a team with a really good, maybe there's some bad weather, depending on where they play. They have a great rushing performance. It shortens the game. It minimizes the number of possessions that you can that the other team will have on offense. And maybe the Eagles, 49ers, or Colts defense just comes to play that day because they have the guys to do it. Like, Fletcher Cox. You just have Fletcher Cox, Darius Leonard, DeForest Buckner, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. You just have these guys who can make plays. Darius Slay. If that's the sort of situation I think I'd be nervous about if I'm a team like, whether it's Tampa or Arizona, even the Rams, and certainly Dallas. You could just be in a position where you can't stop this other team's rushing attack, and then you're forced to become one-dimensional. And I think that's why the Eagles, the Colts, and the 49ers are interesting to me as wildcard teams.
All right, well, who are you taking for the 7th seed? Minnesota, New Orleans, Philadelphia. I'm on Team Debo.
Sort of. I know I said New Orleans last night, but I don't know why I said New Orleans last night when Philly was playing a completely shredded Washington team.
And the way that Breech broke it down, the Eagles, from my perspective, just have to avoid that 3-team tie with the Vikings, Saints, and Eagles, because then things get a little clunkier. If they do manage to have the same record as the Saints, they'll get in because of that head-to-head matchup. So the Vikings still have the Rams, the Packers, and the Bears. I don't think they're running the table. The Saints could run the table. This Dolphins Monday night game is the biggest test on their schedule. And then we'll see about week 18 versus the Cowboys if you're the Eagles.
Breech, you're going to say the Vikings. Explain.
Well, hold on. Our conversation last night was which quarterback did we trust the most? And because it was after Kirk Cousins just had his 80-yard dive bomb game where the worst passing yardage total of his entire career in prime time, which is not what you want to see 4 weeks before the playoffs start. And so I said I would take Kirk Cousins out of the quarterbacks we were talking about. But now, just looking at these schedules, I'm on the Eagles train.
Oh, here we go.
It is, I think, Philly, out of these 3 teams, if we talk about the 3-7-7 teams, the Saints, the Eagles, and the Vikings, I think the Eagles are the only one that has a realistic chance of going undefeated. Like, the Saints might have a slightly easier schedule, but they're not, I don't trust their offense right now.
What
You
about
know-
9-8? Does 9-8 get the Eagles in?
Yeah, I don't know. Because then you're talking about other factors. One of those 6 and 8 teams could get to 9 and 8.
Whoa. No, the Washington and Atlanta are out. Washington's playoff chances are now 9%, and Atlanta must be below that. I'm not even factoring those guys in.
It's just 3 teams right now, right?
Right, I think it's
Yeah,
just
and for the Eagles to get there, that probably means they beat Washington. So I think that you could.
Well, if the Eagles are 9 and 8, well, where I'm saying if the Eagles are 9 and 8, that means they lost a game. Let's assume they didn't lose to the Giants. So it's either to Washington or the Cowboys.
Let's say
And
they lose to
if
the
Washington
Cowboys.
has everyone back and is not playing with a third string quarterback, maybe they win. So if we are using a scenario where the Eagles are 9 and 8, their loss could certainly be to Washington. And there's no reason Washington couldn't be 9 and 8 at that point. But in that case, I would probably take Minnesota.
I mean, and the other problem for Washington is even if they're going to get their guys back, they have to go to Dallas this week. Like if you're going to catch Dallas, you want it to be in week 18 when they might sit their players.
Right. That's true.
And if
do
Washington's
you
9
think
and
that-
8,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
as I say, if Washington's 9 and 8, and the only game that the Eagles lose is the Dallas game, that means that the Eagles beat them again in week 17. So it doesn't matter.
I'm just running through the old playoff machine. So we're saying that let's say the Eagles beat the Cowboys and lose to Washington. Washington loses to the Cowboys but beats the Giants. And then Washington also, that takes care of all those games, right? Yeah. If that happens, the Eagles are still the 7th seed.
At 9 and 8.
And what did the Vikings?
Well, they would win the. Yeah, I guess I need to run all the other NFC teams, but I mean,
Yeah,
if Minnesota wins out. Let me
I don't know what
this.
happens if Minnesota goes 2-1, but
Are you? I mean, the other thing too that you got to factor in with the Eagles is, I mean, man, like Jalen Hurts is making it easier and easier not to use a first round pick, Debo, on a quarterback, right?
well, I want to ask Debo. That has to do everything I would imagine with your buddy Nick Sirianni not being stupid with the play calling.
Agree on the play calling. Didn't agree with everything Nick Sirianni did on 4th down tonight. I think there was definitely some points left on the field, but play calling goes a long way. And yeah, there was never a point this season, and the draft class played a large role in it where I really seriously considered like, okay, the Eagles should be considering a quarterback in this draft class. I saw a couple people after the fumble tonight tweet out Kenny Pickett, and it's just like, come on, guys, let's go forward with this, or just look ahead and stockpile for 2023.
I'm trying to quickly do the math to make sure I didn't miss anything. I do believe if the Vikings go 2-1,
Yeah,
the Vikings will win a tiebreak at 9 and 8.
There we go.
What's their schedule, Breach?
Rams, Packers,
Loss.
Bears.
Okay, no, they're losing 2 games. So
I don't know. I think they can beat the Rams.
I
It
don't.
really.
I mean, I picked them to beat the Rams. My picks are already out this week. People can read on CBSSports.com. But the reason I think they can do it.
Hold on. Let's see.
Hold up.
Okay, so this. All right, yeah. This is. So I went through and picked all the. I did all the relevant using the ESPN playoff machine or whatever. Did all the relevant games. For the situation we're talking about, where the Vikings beat the Rams, lose to the Packers, beat the Bears in Week 18. Eagles. So you have a New Orleans. What the hell just happened here? Wow. There's a path. Okay, this is all. It's going to come down to strength of victory is what's going to happen. I think
we agree with that.
I mean, it's just going to be a crazy end of run tiebreaker. I think.
And for anyone wondering that right now, the Vikings 439 strength of victory, the Eagles 372. So there'd have to be a lot of every team the Eagles beat would have to start winning games starting this week.
But now here's the other thing that is still in play too, is the 49ers go 1-2, and then you have San Francisco, Minnesota, Philadelphia, and New Orleans at 9 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, it would be Philly is the 7th seed and Minnesota is the 6th seed, and San Francisco and New Orleans would be out.
I think that the Vikings are going to lose 2 of these games. I know Breach doesn't think that's going to happen, but that's my bold prediction, along with Philly squeezing it away in there.
So anyway, I guess the larger point is like if any team gets to 10, they're in.
Yep.
If there's a big tie at 9, it suddenly becomes just a total wild card because I do believe
And in fact, you can miss the playoff as a 10-win team because the Cardinals haven't clinched anything yet, and they could lose the division and be on the wrong side of.
that is absolutely possible.
Well, no one has. I mean, the Buccaneers, could they still miss the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah, the only team that's clinched
If
is
they go
the
10-7
Packers.
and the Saints win out, there's a path because the Saints have head-to-head sweep.
And by the way, I just want to point out when I said last year there's a path to 9 wins, I meant for the 2021 Cowboys. They are 10 wins. So I forgot to point that out last week when they got to
Great foresight,
Thank
Wilson.
you. So I wear thick glasses. I can see into the future.
Yeah, the Cardinals though they're at 10. I mean, I think they're
fine. Don't go through that. I was just joking.
But
just
they
'cause
still play the Cowboys, and they still play the Colts, and they still play the Seahawks.
I have real concerns about that team, but I was joking about that.
Let me ask you this, though. Out of the Cardinals and, I mean, what are the 49ers? 8-6?
Yes.
What do you think the Cardinals are going to do in their final 3 games? In those 3 games, with
I think they're going to lose out. I think
Colts, Cowboys, and Seahawks.
I think they're going to lose out.
They'll go 1 and 2.
Because if they win 1, they're in. They just have to get to 11.
Yeah, they're in. They're not missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
But what do you, and I talked about, this is a question that I got earlier on HQ, over under 11.5 win totals for the Cardinals.
11.5?
I'm going under.
Yeah.
Under.
Yeah.
I'm putting the house on under.
All day long.
Yeah, I'll take whatever you will offer on under there.
But I think they beat the Seahawks.
I wonder if they probably Caesars. Oh, they have updated it. Ooh, spicy. What do you think the Cardinals' odds to win the NFC West are? Or I guess I could save this for the.
I'd say plus now, plus 200.
No.
Okay,
we'll save it. We'll save it for the. Do we anything else we want to talk about in Philly and Washington? I mean, we didn't.
Ryan, do you regret not taking the Eagles instead of the Panthers in your Super Bowl draft?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for bringing that up.
I think it was just Devo trying to do this.
In a minute.
Yeah.
Imagine where we were a month ago that the Panthers got selected and the Eagles didn't. What a waste of a pick.
All right.
Yeah, the Eagles just didn't get
Panthers.
selected. I mean,
Matt Rule. Dang it.
I mean, right now, if I said you can have the Eagles or the Cardinals to win the Super Bowl, no blood if neither one wins.
We should have just done, instead of $33, as you put in $10 every time one of your teams gets eliminated. So whether it's from the playoff race or from the playoffs, and then the last man standing, whether it's the Super Bowl champ, then that's how
we can do that bet too. We can do 2 bets. We're gonna run that one.
That could be the one for just us 3.
Yeah.
Since C-Rad's already going to win the other one.
He's going to win the whole thing. Win
the NFC East, by the way, is off the board now with Washington's loss. I think that their path was 40-1 or something.
Well, the Cowboys only have to win 1 more game to clinch.